Well, it's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, KK.
Good morning, Oji.
It takes me a while to call you KK. I have to always say Mr. Komolafe.
Feel free to do that.
Happy Sunday and
Same
welcome to the Sunday.
Good morning, KK.
Good to see you. Review.
All right, KK, we proceed with the newspaper review, and we'll start with This Day on Sunday, where there are a number of interesting stories on the cover of the paper. The lead story says why who becomes Senate President is important for Tinubu's strategists. Akpabio, Oshiomhole, Kalu, Umahi remain strong contenders. Plot thickens to amend Senate rules to allow Oshiomhole, Umahi run. Those two being first-time senators, but then, are they, by the convention of the National Assembly, are they allowed to assume principal offices? But that's what the story is saying, because of the special interest in who becomes the Senate President this time around, in the unlikely event that the Supreme Court rules that the election is overturned, and then you now need a Senate President to stand in for a number of days as the Constitution prescribes. Other stories on top of the lead: Kano governor-elect will revisit Sanusi's dethronement, Kwakwanso declares. And on top of that, Buhari approves postponement of 2023 census. It looks like there are a number of things that the president is shelving for the incoming government. I hope that it will not be called a bad name, that somebody who is leaving his own responsibilities for the incoming one. But he has done that with the fuel subsidy remover. Absolutely. He's now doing that again with the census that is already appropriated for and that has been postponed once or twice. Here we are. It is the man who refused to accept the last census in 2006 for Lagos and said that no, we were not 9 million people, we're between 14 and 16 million. He's now the president-elect and he will pretend over the new date for the census. On top of the masthead, Sudanese crisis, federal government documents 637 stranded Nigerians in Egypt for evacuation. Of course, I'm sure all three would love to hear your analysis on what is happening to Nigerians in Egypt and why it appears that somebody is dropping the ball badly. On top of on the window, Tinubu, Atiku, Sanwo-Olu, Abiodun congratulate Adenuga at 70, say Glo founder revolutionized GSM in Nigeria. I'm sure that anybody who was born at that time will remember how important the per second billing was to Nigerians, when some people felt that no, you have to be paying atrocious amount, and then somebody came and said no, you only pay for what you spend per second, and that changed the whole game. Last but not the least, on the cover of This Day, Oshibajo, it's unreasonable to jettison Nigeria's fossil fuel for now. That's on page 10 of today's This Day. Those are the stories on the cover, KK.
Yeah. I think we should start with what appears to be the humanitarian story. That is
a celebration. Which one?
A humanitarian story. That is the situation with the
yes, in Sudan. Yes.
Humanitarian story.
Yes, absolutely.
I think so far, from the public perception, it's like the federal government has to do more. To ensure that all Nigerians, stranded in Sudan and who are willing
to return,
that they are giving a safe passage. That is the duty. That the country owes them. We've seen how other countries have responded. Ensuring the safety of their nationals and a very swift movement, out of the crisis-prone country. So, I think some of the criticisms that have been made, the federal government should take them, in good faith, and the relevant agencies should take note and ensure that our compatriots,
yes,
Sudan, are brought home.
Especially the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Especially.
I agree with you. I mean, I think this is the primary responsibility.
Absolutely.
The reason why we have foreign policy is to protect the interests of Nigeria, and the interests of Nigeria includes the welfare and the safety of Nigeria wherever they are on the globe. I think that reminder it cannot be, we cannot be tired of making it. And that the situation there is still very very dangerous. That they have to do. Now the other story, which I think is also should be of interest, which is also in virtually all the other newspapers have reviewed this morning, is the decision of the federal government to postpone the census. Yes, I agree with Steve. I think when you put this side by side with the fuel subsidy issue, which by the way is not shelved, because given the clarification that the finance minister made, at the weekend, that all they are just saying is that there's already a plan, and that plan is still, unchanged. So the initial plan was that the removal of fuel subsidy would take effect from June, which of course people have interpreted to mean that we are passing.
Yeah, because the administration will not be there in June.
Yes, but then I think we should be seen rather on a positive note.
Okay.
I think the federal government deserves compliments. For it, because especially in this matter of census, which is the story we are reviewing. Because when you look at the fears, about the possible logistical nightmare, that it could cause, and given the fact that the limited time that the administration has to actually consummate the process, So if it had decided to share it, I think it's a wise thing to do, because obviously there is no way in the 30 days remaining that they'll be able to do a good job of it, because the exercise is it's more than just counting. The whole thing about the processing, and also, like you said, this is census is not just a technical, it's not just a mathematical issue in Nigeria. It's politics, that you are going to the aftermath of it, the controversy that it may generate, and the rest. So there's no way. They'll be able to manage. So it's just a wise thing to do.
They didn't have enough time to plan that, to put that in place. But you're not alone in that comment that you made about the census being postponed. I'll read a tweet from Peter Obi, who wrote yesterday on his tweet. He says the federal government's decision to postpone the 2023 population and housing census, scheduled for the 3rd of May to the 7th of May, to be determined by the incoming administration, is a welcome development. National census is a critical development and nation-building tool. He also said, even though Nigeria is long overdue for a census, conducting one requires proper planning and diligence to ensure the sanctity of the results, the efficacy of the data gathered, as well as their utility in driving national development goals.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's where he puts it. So, I mean, a lot of people have commended that. Others disagree.
I don't see any commendation there.
Yeah.
I welcome it, like he has said, because we have no choice.
Yeah.
But I said what I said based on the attitude of this government. I used the example of the subsidy remover. Because you had 7.5 to 8 years to do what needed to be done. You didn't. Census, the last time was in 2006.
Yeah.
If you thought that census was important, I mean, it could have been an integral part of your second, term in office. You didn't need to put it in the last year. If you use the same logic for the so-called Nigerian Air that was meant to take off. And Hidi Sarika is still saying, before we leave on May 29. So you see a pattern of lastminute.com kind of government.
It is
lastminute.com. Which is not the best. So wisdom in it, I'm not so sure. But hey, the incoming president will deal with it, like he will deal with a lot of issues.
The myriad of issues going forward.
Okay, maybe just one other issue which, if I were add to the catalogue of issues, that's the global debate on, what should be our policy, on hydrocarbon.
Yes.
By the way, the vice president,
yes,
Professor Shivaji, has been engaging this issue, perhaps more than any other, government official,
Yeah.
Recently, I think after an international forum, spoke about it. I think, as a nation, it's a debate, that we just have to be, conscious of, and also be very active in it. It's a global debate, and also because of our place, in terms of, international, economy, the people or the poorer countries. The argument is that, if you want to have a transition, there should be justice in it. And this is the argument he has been making. But then, when you also listen to the environmentalists, that what the danger, of not ensuring that we reduce the carbon emission, what it will do to our planet Earth, So to cover that is a very
it's important, KK, and I think that the wisdom of the president-elect also aligns with what the vice president is saying. We can't rely on the West, which will dance around when it's not convenient for them. They return to fossil fuel, and then when they want other issues, they say no, don't do it. So we should be clear about what works for us, because we are the least polluter of the environment, to say it very clearly. Those who are dealing with it, cannot begin to dictate to us on how we deal with these issues. I think that's part of what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said in Kano the other day, when he used the analogy or the allegory.
He has a definite position on it.
And I think that's important.
The debate should be more robust.
Absolutely.
It should be more robust. It's a global issue and should continue. Well, let's move over to This Day's Style. The cover picture there is Mike Adenuga at 70, a living lesson in business. He turned 70 yesterday. It was his birthday. Happy birthday. A lot of people have been wishing him a happy birthday. I believe Tiku, Sanwo-Olu,
President
Tinubu. They've all congratulated him at 70. Now, Konya puts it here. Mike Adenuga, the Nigerian business magnate and founder of several corporations, has reached a major milestone, his 70th birthday. But this is no ordinary celebration. Adenuga's life has been a remarkable journey of struggle, perseverance, and triumph. Born into a humble family in Ibadan, Nigeria, Adenuga is said to have started as a small business owner, venturing into the business world when he was barely out of his teens. I love stories like this. She went further to say that, when you read about his journey in the magazine, you can't help but to be inspired by the strength of character that he embodies. It's a lesson that she believes every Nigerian youth should learn, the importance of resilience. I believe you talked about it yesterday as well.
We did.
Congratulate him on his 70th birthday. He is a powerhouse. Another thing there in This Day's Style, are we overlooking anything?
Yes, well, we're looking inside the This Day's Style. Two interesting pages, one about women in film and media, and the other adjoining page are pictures from the little celebration by our own Genix. Ogiope's birthday.
Yes, I believe we have that as well. We have those pictures there. Thank you all for coming, besides you both there. It was a nice celebration, but this is a cool thing because we're both Taurus. Me and Mike Adenuga. It was an amazing celebration for us. All right.
If we, it doesn't look like we've got enough time, but I was hoping that we could do just few seconds with the Tribune, KK. Just, a couple of stories that are not in the other papers. Travelers' residents groan in longer gridlock in Lagos. Transporters hike fares, commuters trek long distances. And the May Day rally, federal government makes U-turn, grants labor usage of Eagles Square. And last but not the least, fresh crisis looms in health sector as resident doctors give federal government 2-week ultimatum. 2 million children in Northeast to suffer acute malnutrition, UN agency warns. I know that the gridlock affects your route too, KK.
Yes.
I hope that you are managing to.
Maybe that is the bad news. Maybe the good news is that the Minister of Works, Mr. Fashola, was assured that, yes, the pain, why the government is acknowledging and sorry, for the pain, appealing to members of the public to be patient.
Yeah.
That it can only, to use his word, it can only get better.
Yeah.
From now on.
As
of now.
Mr. Komolafe, we want to thank you as usual for joining us on the newspaper review.